Yeah. Do we have sound? We do. That's going through LIVESTREAM. Awesome! I think we're good. Hopefully it's good. Right. Sup Shredders! My name is Logan, aka Spider. Hang on, is that too far away? I think that might be a bit high. There we go. Sup Shredders! My name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SB live streams where today we're going to be doing more music production stuff because I want to do more music production stuff. This is going to be some stuff with synthesizers. We'll put the title card up on the screen there so you know that it's session number 2. We had a tester a little while back and that was good. It was good to chat to people, just kind of figure stuff out. If we switch over to here, we have what we did last time. We kind of had a song that we were working on last time. Sup, Blue Dinner Box, how you doing? Hopefully you're doing well. We're going to be figuring out, we're going to be doing slightly differently this time. So with the last live stream that we did, we made a song and it was kind of chaotic because I think I went in there kind of not being aware that a lot of the time when people do music production live streams, they'll get like input from like people that are a part of it. And I think that's a really good idea, but I'm not quite quick enough at this point to do that. So instead, what I've decided to do today is we're going to go through different types of instruments so that we can learn more about what they do. And hopefully if you guys are not as familiar with stuff like synthesizers and stuff like that, we can maybe learn how they work and so that you can kind of have a look at them and maybe you might like them, you never know. But synthesizers are basically anything that you come across musically that looks like this. So I'm going to set this up to make a sound and I'm hoping that it's already off to a start. How do I make that go high? There we go. We're gonna put that to MIDI there. If you have any questions, by the way, feel free to ask. Happy to answer any questions that you have here. In fact, I might actually just have it so that it's big enough for me to be able to see these inputs. So there we are. Because this is Reaper, the digital audio workstation I'm using. It's great to do fun stuff with and great to make music with. But we've got this here, which is Ana, and Ana is a synthesizer. And basically, a synthesizer is like a signal that you modulate and you change the tone of using all these different components, and you can make music with it. A lot of the time it's electronic music. But you can also make instrument sounds, like you can create drum sounds, you can even make guitar sounds, you can make all sorts of sounds there. It's very, very, very cool. And so to give you an example of what it sounds like, and if you guys can hear that. So I've got it at, there we go, I'll put it at that. So that is currently the beautiful dread lead. I'll see if I can zoom in or make this bigger. I'm not sure if I can. I don't know how to make the UI bigger. I'm terrified by that. What happened there? No, we want the original UI. So it doesn't really stretch, but you're just going to take my word for it that this is how it works. And so I think today what we can do is we can go through all these different types of synthesizers, because that's basically the best way to show you what they do, is to go through all the different sounds. And this is Ana 2 from Slate Digital. It's a very good synthesizer. There's lots of synthesizers, by the way, but effectively, just when you load this up in Reaper, just immediately, it's quite a cool sounding sort of synthesizer. That's more of a lead, I suppose. Again, a beautiful dread lead. But we're going to start with 808s. And so 808s are usually basses. Now that'll probably be kind of loud for you guys. They are quite loud basses, 808s, but they're used in a lot of hip hop. And I'm hoping that's going through LIVESTREAM. If it's not, let me know if you guys can't hear anything, because you should be able to hear something. But that's an 808. So if you're looking for a bassy kind of synth or something that's instead of a bass guitar or something like that, you can use an 808. You've also got acid, because I'm using these categories over there. There's a lot of different categories, different types of synthesizer. If we go to acid, you can kind of hear it's more of a sequencer kind of thing where it plays a set of different notes depending on the octave that you press it. And you can use the keyboard down here. It's good fun, eh? Really great fun. So 808, I mean, you can use acids alongside basses. So for example, if we were to record some 808s here, yeah, okay, we can duplicate. So we'll make that an 808. And then you can have that as the acid one. So we'll go back to the 808 here. What was it we had? Put that down an octave. There we go. So if we put a click track in to kind of, so that we can kind of keep time with it. Do we have a click track up top? We don't. Oh, we have a click track down the bottom, that's right. Probably need to watch my save music production history video. Well, I mean, like, music production is fantastic, dude. Like, it's so much fun. I think even if you don't make music, it's just fun making sounds, you know. So if there's any music production stuff you watch, you'll be good. Good vibes, good fun. And there's like a plethora of different things on the internet you can watch in relation to it as well. We're going to try and put an 808 alongside the click track, and we can choose a tempo that we like. I don't know. We'll put it at 170. It's going to be kind of fast in terms of BPM. So that's kind of cool, and you can quantize it as well. Quantizing means kind of rhythm correct it, so that it's in time with the, so that it is in time with the click track. You know, that's cool. So that's the 808 line created. And if you have any kind of MIDI keyboard or electronic keyboard, or even like a drum pad or a launch pad or anything like that, you can just do that. You can just record it with that using MIDI channels. If anyone's got any questions about that, we can talk about it. I don't know about this though. I don't know how it's going to record at that tempo. It kind of seems a bit fast. So you can kind of do that if you want to. So how does that sound together with quantization? Then that's a bit early though, isn't it? So we've got to move that forward. Here we go. So I kind of dig that. I kind of might go for the major third though. Yeah, there we go. Try this. So we'll close that. Yeah, and see what you can do is you can like copy that and repeat it more than once. So for example, you could make 4 loops of that in the same channel. And you could change the tails a little bit. But yeah, so you got... And so you might want to change the second time of that to like less of a spicy note on the end of that acid sequencer. So you might end up with like a combination like this. Maybe that one? I don't know. Yeah, that one sounds cool. And not that I'm going to go into it because it's going to be more of a structured video focusing on synthesizers, but you can add a lot of effects change to it to sort of really kind of spice it up and make it more exciting. But we're going to continue beyond that point though. I just want to continue going through the categories so this is more of a focused video because I want to do stuff like guitars and basses and drums and maybe some sort of mixing stuff as well, just so that if you guys are interested in learning some more stuff about it, at the very least you can watch this as one of the videos you go through. And I want to do this like once every couple of weeks or at least twice a month, just because it's good practice for me as well in terms of my teaching and stuff like that and kind of getting that out of my system. So the next one we have is atmosphere. So atmosphere synths are typically a little bit more sort of ambient. They are a little bit more experimental sounding. They aren't as rhythmic often a lot of the time as the acids, for example, and they aren't as bass heavy as a lot of what's going on with the 808s. So if we've got alchemical here, which is literally the first one here. Isn't that gorgeous? And so I know they're all different loudnesses for you guys. It's just simply because of the fact that it just makes kind of more sense for that to kind of not over compress these signals too much. I just realized as well, I need rail limit on. So you guys are probably going to experience it being a bit louder now than it was before, and I apologize for that. I was playing through, so I'm just going to show you what they sound like with rail limit on. So that's the 808 at the actual proper rail limit one. So that's the bass. Acid. You know, and that's not the only type of acid synth, by the way, that Arna 2 has in particular. Like most digital audio workstations, we have a variety of different presets that you can use. There's also Vital, which is really good. So Vital is actually a free synthesizer, which is really cool. I would thoroughly recommend checking that out if you get the chance. But yeah, Vital's great because it doesn't have quite the same amount of options, but it still gives you enough to be able to make a lot of really cool music with. You don't need Serum 2 or anything like that. Serum 2 is great. I've got it as well. But you don't need it in order to get a whole bunch of sort of mileage out of like production. So I'm always just very sort of cautious when I'm doing multiple things here. Like I understand that, for example, it's got a bit of, there's a bit of, it's working my computer a little bit, streaming and also doing the audio production and stuff at the same time, but it's all right. I'm not using a super intensive plugin here despite the possibilities. But anyways, getting back to alchemical. And you can also change the pitch of these. And I'm playing on, again, I'm playing on my little keyboard that I have. But you can use a little one here as well. And most synthesizers have a little mini keyboard you can play because I just assume you don't have a MIDI keyboard connected to it, to your laptop, you know. But that's atmosphere anyways. So if 808 is bass and acid is more like a synth sequencer playing a set melody, and then atmosphere is creating an ambient kind of texture there. And they change a lot. Like this is Alien Code 2034. Like, you know, clearly, you know, that's a bit much. In fact, I might actually just turn that back down again, I think, because, I don't know. Is it peaking? If I open up MV Meter, is it peaking? Not really. It just sounds loud in my headphones. It's fine. It's okay. Cool. All right. So yeah, I don't know. You guys will complain. You guys will let me know if it's too loud, anyways. But the the atmosphere synths vary widely, and they have a wide variety of feels. And usually they contain a lot of reverbs and delay and other sort of like elements that make it sound a bit more sort of ethereal and spacey, or more sort of sci-fi and digital. But we have bass as well. So bass is typically they're either going for like my 2-finger prog. I'm gonna put it like down 120 again. Here. That's 3 os glide, which I assume it'll go between octaves. But can you hear how that kind of writhes? It just writhes in the stereo field A and the frequency spectrum. An aggressive Reese. So you could do a lot with this, just one note of that. You can do a lot with that one note. You could like totally put down a kind of a beat on the drums there. So for example, if I go to, what's it called? Berserk. Please load. Don't crash. Good job. Berserk. Please load. Don't be grumpy. Good job. Sorry, I know that was too close to the mic. And this one's gonna be very loud. If I load it up. So this isn't Ana. This is a drum plugin I have called Berserk from UJam. It's very good. If you need your kind of dubbies, then you've got your dubstep here as well. So if we go back here, we go to a new section, and we kind of go. There you go. And so something like that, you could probably put that Reese on top of it and see how that behaves. You know, you don't know whether it's going to be perfect, but if we try and play the Reese along to it. Here we go. So. Yeah, again, I know it sounds kind of scuffed. It's just you have to give it. You too, dude. Take care. Have a good weekend. But yeah. So you've got drums. So that synth is quite loud in comparison to that, eh? Yeah, okay. That might not be right. Yeah, there we go. That's good. So yeah, sick. So I've got that now. So I know it's pretty ferocious, but it's still kind of a cool sort of sound to it. Kind of makes me wonder what would happen if we were to raise that up. Oh no, not the drums, the actual synth itself. Because maybe it's a little bit too low. It sounds a little bit... Yeah, no. That's just, No, it's just gonna be ferocious. So if you're not happy with the sound of it, what you can do is you can change the, you know, the tone to another type of bass. So yeah, okay, that's not bad. That sounds better to me. But then that's still probably too low because you can kind of hear how the bass is thudding out. Yeah, and so there's like a tail that needs to be put right there. Yeah, and so you can kind of double that there and go whoosh. Boom. There. So nice. So that you can use bass with drums and they work nicely together as well. In the same way that like you can use an 808 with a synthesizer really well, with the sequencer really well, you can use the bass of the drums really neatly. So there are some sort of synth sort of like patterns that just work really neat with each other. I mean, granted, the drums aren't synths of that one, but nonetheless, they're still good to sort of deal with. But yeah, bass is usually lower pitched. It's slightly different to the 808s. Where like the 808 is more, I think it's got a bit of attitude to it, but it's not super complicated. Bass is per this fifth aggressive reese, which I do like it. It's just they've got a bit more sort of like sass to them, I think. But we'll move on from bass because I think we understand what bass is regardless. You'd hear it, you understand a bass when you hear it. Most of the kids I work with are like, yeah, I know what a bass is. You know, I know what a bass is. So then you've got bells, as I understand it. If I'm not mistaken, where did bells go? So here, so bells, I know, I'm sure you guys have heard a bell before. It's what you think it is for the most part. If we load it up, you know, we can hear that that's a bell. Might be a little bit too lower pitched. So bells aren't really that resonant in the lower range because they haven't got a lot of low end energy. You know, that's good. You know, that's fine. So that's a bell box there. And so it's got a kind of a softer, kind of sweeter tone to it, even though it sounds kind of spooky with some of those presets we were looking through, especially in comparison to the sequences that we've had so far. The atmosphere, clearly there's sort of like characteristic than that to a certain extent. Like I mean, there's broken speaker bell. What does this one sound like? There's like some detuning to that to kind of make it sound a little bit more sort of surreal, I suppose. You know, you can work with some interesting exotic minor scales if you want with that one. And then you've also got disc bell. Yeah, and you can use chromatics as well to add a bit of sass to it. You don't necessarily need to use just the major or minor scales. Just the diatonic, you can do all sorts of wacky stuff with it. It just depends on how creative you are, you know, how much you want to go outside the box. That's bells. I feel like bells pretty self-explanatory. Brass, here, brassy thing, dial-up sax. You can go up the high. It sounds kind of spooky at that point in that higher register, but nonetheless, I think it's kind of neat to play through that and still kind of experiment. Yeah, you can have fun with that. Dialect Sex, I kind of like that one. Past the Levista, baby, you can clearly tell they had a bit of fun with it. You know, that's fine. So yeah, brass is meant to sound like trumpets or saxophones or tubas or trombones or anything that is a brass instrument. Sometimes they'll use actual streams from the actual recordings of instruments and sort of synthesize them and amalgamate them with electronic textures as well to kind of have a bit of both worlds. That can be kind of cool. There's different types of synthesis. I think predominantly ANA 2 is just sort of emulating them. I might be wrong though, but regardless, I just think the best way to look at each of these different synthesizers is try to not get the synthesizer to be what you think it should be. It's to kind of respect what the synthesizer wants to be within itself. I think that's the best way to look at them. Like, that's not the best range, I think, for that sax. I mean, that's just it's just a fun sound, you know, and I think that's the thing with synthesizers as well. I've been meaning to go through a lot of these different plugins and kind of make sort of videos on them, just sort of to talk about their functionalities, regardless of whether people are actually interested in them or not. Because I have a lot of these, and I just think as well, for me to go through them and sort of explore things is quite valuable. So that's why I think I'm going to be doing more of these. Even if people don't have questions, it's just simply going, okay, well, what don't I know about this personally, and how do I make more sense of it? But I feel like the brass could be a fun thing for some sort of jazz, electro, sort of soul and stuff like that. It's cool. You can do things with it. But we have chords now. So a chord being when you play more than one note at the same time, you can arpeggiate them into melodies, but you typically, when you have a chord, you play more than 2 to 3 at once. I am wondering whether you know, I mean, it's just neat. It's just it's a nice sequencer. It's a nice bit of oscillation there. Works really well with the tempo. You can probably speed it up with tempo. How does it sound if you put a sixth in there? Nah, maybe not not that one. You kind of got to be careful with the notes you choose. I just don't have a C sharp, so I can't hit that sharp 11 there. I'm not going to go for a normal 11th because it's the equivalent of a 4th, and it's just a bit kind of spicy. Bit spicy, potentially. But yeah, chords, we'll go for one that isn't necessarily a sequencer. It's just... It's just so easy to make music with this stuff, in part because you see these little dots down here. They may be very tiny on your little phone speaker, but these little dots, they have a custom sequencer kind of thing that's put forward in there. And you can go into here and you can choose, I don't know, actually, do you see that? There's little, I'll move it over here. You can, yeah, performance scales. You don't even scale. So new disco, for example. Oh man, that's fun. That's new disco preset. Performance, epic trance. What is that one? Hang on. Oh, so that's... Kind of sounds like a banjo a little bit at some points, but that's a fun one. So I'm going to give that another tick. So I think when we talk about chord in this instance, it's not usually literally playing chords. I don't think it's trying to remove the need to play more than one key at a time by doing 3 for you. It's more either where it's sort of arpeggiating certain parts, or we're trying to sort of do fun stuff when you play the chords. It's more sort of if you have chords that you want to play, try these sort of options there. So that's chords anyways. We have 808, which I presume kind of sounds like a kind of a bassy kick. Tail of 2 toms. Yeah, okay, you can kind of roll with that. That's cool. So I don't know if I necessarily recommend having these as like your main drum kit. I think maybe it's a little bit disingenuous to sort of call these drums. They're drum synthesizers, drums that are made from the use of synthesis, but I don't think they necessarily replace a kick. Granted, you know, you can always just like, I mean, you can just try the kick one, right? Try going in the range of it. Maybe not. Okay, that's pretty good to be fair. That kick one, you know, water is wet. That's not a bad kick tone, to be honest. Not upset about that one. Yeah, that's cool. I dig it. Okay, never mind. Does it have a snare? It should have a snare, right? It kind of reminds me of a lot of music from like the late 2000s, early 2010s, the kind of really cheesy kind of dance tracks I used to have because it became popular. So you can have snares and you have kicks, and usually you want to have a hi-hat as well. So, you know, you got to pick the octave for that. I don't know about that, man. Like, how does hi-hat groove go? Yeah, okay. You could probably honestly like doom, 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 like have like a kick groove. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can do a lot of fun with that. So they actually honestly, I think what we need to, again, try and understand is that with these synthesizers, we want to take them as they are and accept both their strengths and limitations. And if we can find a tone that works, it's good. But if you've got drums, you're going to probably find some drum sounds. It's probably not going to beat a sample drum kit or an acoustic drum kit, depending on your tastes. But it's nonetheless very sort of like neat to still be able to have people putting forward these sort of sounds for you to experiment with. Effects. 4 Horsemen of the Shepherd effects. So effects are more, I suppose, more sort of noise and ambient related stuff, kind of like the atmosphere, maybe. Is that the riser? Is that the riser there? I wonder. What is Antarctica? I mean, it's incredibly atmospheric by proxy, I suppose. Yeah. So it's probably not going to go into like a typical sort of Bruno Mars dance track, whatever, but it can work in a lot of sort of situations. Bit crushful. Oh, okay. Again, maybe a bit high. It's cool, man. It's dope. These are fun, man. I think that if you were to get a synthesizer like Anato or something like that, it's good just to sort of maybe take a day just to sort of play through all the different presets in your own time and just kind of find a set of sounds you like, you know, maybe sort of put 5 stars through the ones that you particularly appreciate and just sort of enjoy yourself with it. But I think the way to look at effects is simply, it's not going to be your typical chord progressions or bass lines or sort of rhythm parts. It's going to be things to add as bits of ear candy that you can either take as they are, or you can sort of adjust further by use of filtering. I mean, it's worth even noting, there is this entire thing with all these different buttons and knobs and everything like that you can adjust whenever you want to in order to sort of adjust things further. And I think that's cool. I think it's great that you have that in order to be able to experiment and have fun with. But yeah. So if your effects isn't effectsy enough, you can make it more effects within this section here. And again, the best thing you can do is just try pressing buttons. That is a really good riser. I'm gonna like take that and put a thing by it. Excellent. So past the halfway point now. Good. 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 Almost guitar. It's honestly not bad. Like, it clearly isn't guitar. Like, it doesn't sound like 100% like a guitar, but like, it's close enough that you were listening to it passively, you'd probably be like, yeah, no, I can understand what they're trying to accomplish there. That within itself is really special. That's a really special thing, I think, personally. And it's just gotten so much better over the last few years of doing this. Really has. Distorted guitar tone. So I think that's actually... It's like unrelenting. It's kind of like if Line 6 took the the brutal memes to heart on its old sort of like version 2 thing and made the ultimate super fizzy distortion. It's okay, you know. Flamingo. Oh. Oh. So I'm using a pitch wheel there to kind of mess with the sound of it. It's really fun. Yeah, honestly, like, I don't know if you guys watching this, if anyone's watching this, have do much with your pitch wheel, but I thoroughly recommend it. Granted, it's more sort of freeform and organic because you don't have the same control of it as you would if you were simply pressing the keys and quantizing. But it's still very good to sort of have to mess around with like the relative bends and slides of things. 'Cause I can't decide whether it's a bend or a slide. That. It's more of a bend, isn't it? But it could be a slide, I suppose, depending on how much closely you're paying attention. You go loot. What's this? Yeah, okay. All right. That's nice. So there's a huge amount of sensitivity to the intensity that you play those notes. No, that's cool. I like that. I dig it, man. What's that? Ooh. Oh, that's nice. Check that out. I don't have the range to go much further on it. I have like an 8-octave keyboard over there that I can use, but then I wouldn't be in front of the keyboard, so, you know. Okay, that's okay. That's all right. That's cool. So again, that's your maroon guitar. I'm kind of getting carried away with these things simply because I want to have fun with them. But yeah, you can find guitar parts as well as lutes and acoustics and banjos as well. Yeah, okay. So it's an okay sounding banjo. I'm going to give it 5 stars just because I keep ahead of it, but I still think it's, you know. And then ukulele. Yeah, kind of. It sounds. Yeah, okay, that. You gotta kind of go to kind of replicate the sound of actually strumming a ukulele, but it's okay. It works all right. And then you got keys. Now, keys are pretty self-explanatory. Keys being piano keys, electric keys, etc. So you can imagine that there's gonna be quite a few options here, like another 50 to 100. So there's like 1,000 plugins in Ana 2. I mean, that by itself is just a fun tone. I gave this a 4. Why did I give this a 4? Yeah, it's very cheesy, but that's cool. Oof. I don't know if I'm liking that. In the upper range. Okay. So yeah, keys, just like a piano, except they're synthesizers. So from what you've seen through all these other sort of like subcategories here, you know full well that you've just got a whole lot of flexibility in terms of how they're presented and their various pitches and frequency spectrums and tones and textures and tonalities, etc. Again, a lot of the magic is kind of finding positions within that octave range that is niched to your mix there in a way where it doesn't sort of like divorce itself too much from what is maybe possible within the instrument. Ooh. Yeah, no, some really cool sounds here. Wonky keys. Now, I should note that there's also like subcategories as well as genre categories, and just clearly this is not a sponsored live stream for Ana 2. It's just one of my favorite synths to go to, simply because I feel like they did a great job of designing it, updating it. There's a whole lot of expansion packs. There's a whole lot of really cool things that they do with it just to sort of brighten up your day and make everything really sort of happy and cheery. So that's keys anyways. I feel like I don't feel the need to sort of really say too much more about it. Most people kind of get into keys and then synthesizers. So if you've had any piano experience, you can probably make the most of these on a digital 8 octave. It's just giving you more sort of range in terms of like how to present your keys as opposed to simply having a normal electric keyboard or something like that. And to be fair, a lot of electric keyboards nowadays have a lot of presets and a lot of their own sort of fun sounds. It's just that sometimes it can be difficult to both record the actual tone out of the organ without, like, you have to play it well. You can't just like half-ass an organ part. You know, like, you have to play the organ well if you don't quantize. I mean, to be fair, no one's potentially going to have room to put a church organ inside the bedroom or whatever as well anyway. So, you know, you kind of want to do what you can with what you've got. And again, this is the beauty of these plugins, is that you don't need to have a massive setup in order to be able to play them. You just kind of need a laptop or a computer. And then like a MIDI device if you want to actually tap things out. But that's keys there. There's pianos and electric keys, and there's lots of different options there. You go leads, which are typically the main melody of a piece. Kind of sounds like something you'd hear from like Don't Look Outside or Don't Look Outside, I think it is. And again, what I love about it is that there's just so much personality within such a small space. You've got more subtle things like the 808 to the bass and the bells even, for example. But a lot of these leads and a lot of these sequences just do so much heavy lifting. You know, it's so good. You got advanced sharpness, which is very sort of abrasive and aggressive, and it depends on the octave you choose as to how that will be presented. Arpeggiator for trance. Yeah, this is easy. It's easy stuff. You got Astro guitar lead as well, so yeah, no, okay. Broken Toys over here. And again, you can use the subcategories of like, I don't know, what is soft? What's a gentle one? What's big room simplicity? Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, usually you'd use this as the main part for a song being the lead, and you just got to figure out the kind of key signature and melodies that you want to use so that it matches with the surrounding elements there. It's a good alt for a voice. You can have the vocals over it. It's just maybe going to be a little bit more sort of like subtle with your lead lines in order to allow the vocals to be able to have their presence within the place. Unless you're very, very astute, very good at production, and you're able to, or composition especially, and be able to, or both, genuinely, or most importantly, both. As long as you're able to sort of like get that down, I think that's good. But yeah, so we have, that's leads though. Lead melodies are great. You've got pads, which is sort of like chordal there with Ascension, for example. And so pads are kind of like the atmosphere element. They're meant to be less intense, but you can hear there that there's definitely still some sass. So I don't really think there's too much of a difference between the two. It's basically what you're going for. If you are wanting a more environmental sort of effect, like a sub-layerish thing on the sides of the stereo field with chords, you'd probably go for atmosphere. If you're wanting them to be more sort of dominant, you could have the pads be something to kind of boost or elevate things through within a hook, for example, among your existing elements. It's just a very easy way to lift the track up when you do that. I think it depends on the mood, and again, you've got these sort of like subcategories here. It's just making sure that if you're playing these chords, if you've got a lead before it, you don't try to sort of overcompete with that. It's also part of why it's really good to mix in mono. So like if you're producing a song and you're not checking how it sounds like within stereo, sides of the stereo field, as well as mono, like as if it was coming through one speaker, you're doing yourself a disservice, primarily because what you're not allowing for is someone listening to your track through a phone speaker. It can be really difficult to kind of figure out how things sound universally unless you test them through different audio sources. So I would wholeheartedly recommend, if you're not doing that at the moment, to do so. It just helps to sort of elevate things so to make them very sort of cool. As well as the car test. If you have a car, you do the car test, and effectively you're just checking to make sure that there's not a super over-the-top bass response, because it's not that bass is bad, it's that sometimes if you have a whole lot of sub bass, if there's too much emphasis in the sub bass, it kind of will make your track sound quieter by proxy because of that, which is a shame. It is a shame. You can lose precious volume because of that, you know. Granted, you don't want to squeeze the dynamic range too much, but you just want to try and find equilibrium between sufficient dynamic range and having a nice, loud, commercially viable track that people will see as being commercial. Plucks are usually another type of sequencer where they go da-da-da-da-da as opposed to a single note. You can tell they've got a kind of blip, blip, kind of a harsher kind of attack to them, a quicker kind of attack. They're kind of ding, ding, and they're almost mildly percussive in approach. You can do them as notes, or you do them as chords. And so no dramas there. Very easy to follow along to. You've got Are You Plucking Kidding? You know, it's cool. I keep saying it's cool simply because I don't know how else to really describe it. I feel like listening to this, it's a track. There's just you don't really need that many synthesizers. Some people have like 12 different synthesizers, and I stand guilty of having a few myself. But you're going to find that you gravitate towards a few of them for most of the time. Like, it's the 80-20 rule, except it's 2 synthesizers with like 10 left behind. Often people, when they are learning how to do music production, they'll buy stuff because they think that they need it because other people use it. It's exactly my experience with FL Studio, where I see people using FL Studio because they see the big name producers using it, but then they get it and they can't find the track. They can't make the track they like. And I'm not saying FL Studio is not good, because it is. Clearly, there's the capacity to produce and find success in it. I'm not really sure I like the fact that there are 4 different types of package for it, but you know, like personally, I've used FL Studio and I can appreciate the pattern-based things they do are very, very good. And it's more intuitive to some beginners than Reaper is, but for sure. Although I have custom coding for a lot of my MIDI equipment, which allows it to work. So I would sort of render a caution upon saying that it is universally more easy for beginners, and it's not necessarily plug and play. But nonetheless, anyways, plucks are just great for that kind of more sort of mildly percussive harmony or melody with different rhythms that help it to sort of stick through the mix and not be too sort of not be too sort of soft or sort of like, because at this point you've got a lot to sort of play with. These next few, poly, stab, strings, template. I don't know what template would be. Oh, okay. What is this? Oh, it's a mini template. Yeah, there we go. I forgot how to play old McDonald How to Farm. It's been a while since I played that. So I've just gone straight to template. Effectively, it's very simple. It's just giving you different instruments, how they sound like, so that you can then go into this. So if I go to flute, right? You can adjust. Like, for instance, see how this tube drive, you can't see that. So that's clearly very loud. Maybe not that much. No, maybe not that. I don't know. There's whole reverb. What about full? Yeah, no, that's not good, is it? We are not cooking at this point. We are not cooking. There we go. It was the tone that was making it slightly more sort of like resonant in the high end. We got delay effect. Can you oh, insert 2. What about chorus? So I think we officially we officially broke it. We managed to break the flute. And so what you can do, if you break the flute, you can just go back to template and go flute sound and virus template. Ooh. Oh, that sounds like the PlayStation 1 intro theme. That sounds like the PlayStation 1 intro theme, dude. I miss the PlayStation 1. I used to have one of those. They're good, though. They're good consoles. But getting back to this, what were we up to? So we've done plucks. We got poly, with templates being just a preset for a simple sound that you can add things to and sort of adjust within the synthesizer. You've got poly, 4-note triarp. So I think poly is trying to infer that it does multiple notes and it does it in sequences for most of it. Yeah, kind of. I think it's also got different notes attached to it. So it's like chordal things that are sequenced potentially. Oh, I did not like that. Oh, that was super fizzy down the low end, doesn't it? Oh, that's pretty though. See, the thing is, I'm not really sure what the point of calling it poly was in a sense, because poly implies it's a polyphonic synth, but then the pads are polyphonic. Polyphonic. The atmosphere one is polyphonic. Most of these synthesizers are objectively polyphonic, and there are ones like the bass, for example, which don't necessarily benefit, or the 808s definitely don't benefit from being chords, but most of these are polyphonic. I don't know why there is simply a poly thing here. I would have thought most of them are, because there are polyphonic and then monophonic synths. So monophonic synthesizers only have one oscillator. So some of these synthesizers use more than 2 or more oscillators, which are individual sound sources, and you can take those, you can do things to those individual sound sources and get them sort of like feed off of each other as well, to sort of make really cool sort of sounds. You can add noise to it and add sort of effects changed and like distortion and reverbs and delays and all those sort of fun things. You can do a lot to those. You can have a lot of good times with it. It's just, I think mainly when I listen to this, J hammer guitar. Yeah, I just think that chords. Yeah, I mean, they're functional. It's not particularly exciting to me, to be honest. I'm not really a massive fan of the poly parts, primarily because I feel like they've already been attended to. But then also my dopamine receptors are shot, and I don't necessarily experience excitement with music the way a lot of people do due to having done like thousands of reviews at this point. But yeah, polys are good. Polys are chordal synths, predominantly, although you can use them as sort of single note synths. It's just kind of defeats the purpose, arguably, the case. Personally, for me, stabs are more kind of that kind of stuff, but they definitely... So can I make this a progressive too? I don't understand that. Why is that being weird? Icarus? I don't know what's going on there, man. Okay, so maybe the command preset is not working very well. Scales? What about... Nope, it's not. It's just being weird. So I think that some of these don't necessarily have a specific sort of like sequencer setting. I know Future Chords does. Like... Where is that though? So there, because this guy, if you press down a key, it can do different scales. It can do triads. So minor seventh. Nope, doesn't do minor sevenths. Get away with that. So I'd give that a plus. I do prefer it's more sort of like natural ones though. If we go back to future chords here and kind of... Yeah, so you can tell it's chordal, but it has kind of a stabby kind of dun 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 dun, kind of like pokey tone to it. They usually have extensions added to them, so like it's a seventh to a first. So that note and that note, boom, boom. But yeah, it depends on the situation. If we find tick stabs 1, what is... Whoa! We see so little effort with those. We got the rave. What does the rave sound like? Is it gonna move da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da? I'm pretty sure I've heard that in some dubstep tracks. That kind of like drama and tension to it. I like how there's that kind of harshness and drama and suspense to it. I think it's very neat. Yeah, no, that's cool. So you could definitely make some dubstep or you sort of like some high octane kind of electronic music after that. You could probably soak it in reverbs and do a lot of fun stuff to kind of smooth it out and make it a bit more sort of ethereal and sort of mystical sounding. There's lots of ideas. But so stabs have that kind of drama and tension to that tone when they're added there. They're not like a constant thing. They're like a staccato kind of kind of sound to it that is a great sort of like contrast to some of the longer form ones like pads and atmospheres and stuff like that, you know. That they usually will be kind of attention grabby, so you don't maybe want to sort of focus on them too much, in the sense that you don't want to sort of rely on having them over the vocals, for example. You want the vocals to be separate from the stabs there. They kind of need to take turns, be like maybe chord responses or something like that. But they function really well in that regard. You have strings. So strings are kind of like if you had violins and cellos and violoncellos and stuff like that, but they're digital. I mean, that's ancient staccato. I do kind of dig that. Oh, that's... Ooh. Ooh, pretty. Chorus strings. Ooh, crazy. Oof, it's very tense though, isn't it? I don't know if I like that though. But you can make him happy by playing major chords. Because a lot of this comes down to as well what the chord qualities are that you choose, whether you use major or minors, suspended seconds, sus4s, you know, diminished, augmented, 6th or 7th, 9th, sharp 11th, etc. Or fusion chords. It depends on what you want to do with it. The more color you add when there's fuzzy distortions, the diminishing returns you get unless you're very sort of acutely aware of what you're doing. But ultimately, yeah, no, it's fun. High strings. Oh. And like you can just have like one note that you're holding the entire time, and then like that move the other note down a little bit at a time, and it's just a really easy progression there, because you got that unison note that is the root note, and that kind of sets the tone for a lot of the piece. And then you have that other part shifting down to add more sort of like variety within the performance of it. So it's very, very good. Transvox gate. Yeah, that's beautiful, because that's a E flat add 9 / B flat. Can you just go like, where's the drum kit I had? Like it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Yeah, that was there. So if I go, I don't know, if we record the drums, like, I know it's too harsh and aggressive, but like, just bear with me, you know? Yeah, again, I know it's really aggressive. You can change the sound of the drum kit. It's just to kind of sort of give you an idea of what you can sort of do to approach it. I don't really think we need to. So it goes like, there we go. So we've got, and then we've got that on top. There you go. So you got that there, and make that quarter notes because it is. You got that. How does that sound over top of it without the click tracks? And you can make that as fast as you want. You can make it 175. Yeah, hell yeah. Sick. And you can kind of add some snares to that second part. Yeah, if you got, you know, yeah. So, yeah, check this out. So we go here. Oh, check this out. You guys are gonna love this. So we got like so you can go here into this part and go done. There you go, like this. And then what you do is you duplicate it because you want to add some hi-hats in there. So okay, so it's like yeah, so we go here, and I know that I need to do these as like 16s because I can't be 30 seconds. Hell yeah, we could probably split at the half point. And then we go here. Yeah. Oh, right. It's like eighth and then it's like that, eh? Here we go. So like go. There we go. And it's that one there. And then boom. Oh, okay. Did I not get that? What if I just get these? Yeah, what about I do that? Yeah. Kind of prefer the way it was before. Yeah, that's nice. So you go here, there. So okay, so we're gonna try and include the 808 now as well, just to kind of bring these things together. So we're gonna record at that range. Hang on. So get rid of that there, because I don't need that at that point. Okay, cool. So I know that the 808 is too loud. We're gonna sort that out in a moment. Gonna transpose that -12 octaves. Okay, we're gonna put that down. I like that a lot, actually. I kind of dig that. So we can go, oh wait, we can use that Parisian riser thing as well, dude. Do you remember the riser thing that we had in effects? That'd be cool, eh? So where was it? Paris riser. We're gonna use that one for this, okay? So okay, so we're gonna go. Okay, so we're gonna put that down and then. Yeah, I don't know about that one. We're gonna have to probably like, yeah, I don't know about that. I'll figure this one out. Yeah, that's actually kind of cool. Here we go. Where did that go? It was like, oh. Yeah, we'll go like this. Yeah, there we go. So put that back. Yeah, no, so clearly, again, it's not like a top 10 trance track or anything, but it's just like combining a mixture of different 808s, as well as Yeah, that's cool. I like that. So we go up here and you can kind of add that riser at the halfway point. Okay. So I think that honestly, like the fact that we didn't even really need to do much aside from have a separate drum kit shows just how much you can do with just one type of synthesizer. I almost feel dirty for going beyond that point. I feel like we've kind of done everything we needed to do with this today, but I will persevere. Yeah, but this is the last one, eh? Yeah, this is it. So I've got, what are the last few options we have? Because I've had fun with this. This has been good. We have done strings, where they're basically a string section. If a string went to a synthesizer, you have vocals, which are really really cool. Can I record that? Yeah, okay, that's cool. That's neat. So it's just basically pretending to be a robot, but it's a synthesizer. And my robot kind of sounds a bit mucky at that lower octave. Oh, poly? So I don't understand. Does that mean that like you can't do mono with that? It does mean you can't do mono. Okay, definitely not. So mono is just that one. So it's got portamento between it. So portamento is when you don't start the note again, you kind of have a smoothness between the two. And then poly, you can play more than one note at the same time. That's cool. Dancing bars. Didgeridoo. Oh. Woo! Damn, dude. Ooh, good. I like that one. That's fun. Didgeridoo's good. I like this. So yeah, we've got poly and normal voices for a lot of these, primarily because, of course, voicing, you usually have one vocalist. A singer can't, I mean, you can do multiple pitches with the same vocalist, but you usually have like the Mongolian throat sing kind of two different notes, and usually one is more of a noisier texture, as opposed to do cleans at the same time. We don't have twin vocal cords as far as I'm aware. But yeah, basically, the vocals are just trying to sort of like sound like a vocalist, except a lot of the times they're more sort of chops or sort of more melodic, kind of fit into with this one. It's basically a way of putting a vocalist lead in without having to commit to actually having a singer come into the studio and do stuff. So that can be cool if you want to sort of like mainly work with instrumental work. And I think that just as a closing comment before we finish for today, the wubs are bass, except it's like dubstep oriented. So, you know, we have Birds of Prey, which I assume, okay. Okay, that's kind of cool, I like that, but I want more from wubs. Where is a wub? Where is a wub? Sup, Lollipop Band, how you doing? Welcome to the studio. See, you guys don't need any help with this stuff because you guys have phenomenal music production. I love what you guys do, eh? So you guys won't be here. You guys will be teaching me stuff. I'm just talking through Anna. But where was the didgeridoo that I had there? Synths are good. Do you have Anna too? It has a didgeridoo. I don't know if you have Anna, but didgeridoo's awesome. Like, that's a didgeridoo. We've just been going through all the different types of synthesizers in Anna, though. We're about done, unfortunately. But not unfortunately, because I made a track. I made a track here, like... Yeah, so we made some fun music today. I wasn't expecting to actually make a beat today, but we ended up making something kind of neat. I'm gonna low-key keep that. Maybe make a track out of that. Yeah. Oh, you use Serum. Yeah, that makes total sense. What do you think of Serum 2? Serum 2 is pretty awesome. Native Instruments is good. I like Native Instruments a lot as well. Do you use do you use Playbox, I think it is? The Playbox has like the octave and you can choose notes from that octave and it kind of randomizes the sound. I like that one from Native. FL Studio has Flex. Is that in the producer bundle? Because I've tried FL Studio, but I haven't been super impressed with what they have, unless it's in that producer bundle, in which case I'll check it out. I know FL Studio is really good. But yeah, you guys have some really cool tricks and tips with your music, eh? Yeah. Hopefully everything's going well on your end as well, with the music stuff, Ed. I've not tried it yet, but I'm so used to Serum that I don't know if it's worth switching over. You get more. Yeah, you get more. So I think with Serum 2, they include everything that's in Serum 1, plus they've literally got all the wavetables included. I think the way they wanted people to think about Serum 2 is that it's Serum 1 but more. You've got like 3 or 4 oscillators. You've got like gain staging and like more malleable, sort of flexible effects chains and stuff. You can have up to 10 or 12 effects at the same time. Yeah, it's good times. Yeah, maybe we can arrange a chat outside of it, eh? It's just good to talk, you know. I really like when people push the boundaries of music, you know, and do some exciting things. Yeah. Where was I? Oh, right, I was on Wubs. That's right. So I was on Wubs. We got to do Wubs. So the last thing for today is effectively the Wubs that Anna has in it. And they're pretty good. They're pretty good. Yeah, it kind of sounds like farts. Kind of... Edison. Oh, what's Edison? What's Edison? Is it worth checking out Edison out? I've heard it vaguely. Is that included within FL or is it something else? To record sounds and make my own samples and then edit it even more with gross speed and free. Yeah, okay, so it's an FL Studio. It's probably worth me actually just getting the producer bundle for FL Studio, I think, because I need to give FL Studio a better chance. I just need to actually just go and get it. I might go get Edison later on today. Or like later on. It might be good to sort of spend some more time getting used to what in fact, it might actually be good because I have people that I work with FL Studio and they, yeah, we're gonna do that. If you guys are able to do a lot of what you do with an FL Studio, then okay, cool, awesome, sick. That's very clever. Actually, I haven't really heard of many things that amalgamate like that, so that's really cool. Thank you for telling me about that. I appreciate it. Yeah, basically TLDR, if you're on Anna 2, I mean, you could like make drum bass with that, right? If we just kind of like, I don't know, mute things and we just have like the drums, like, I don't know. Oh, hang on. Am I tripping? Hang on. No, 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 no. Clearly that's not. Woo! Okay, we'll go with that one. I mean, I know that isn't drum bass, but like if you had drum bass beats, I don't know. Can we edit this a little bit? I don't want to ruin my song that I made though. Oh, okay. What if we create a different one and we get like the grace that there we go. Arturia are pretty good. Definitely, I've seen really good things about Arturia. They make great software and hardware because they've got hardware synthesizers, don't they? I mean, like, you can easily make dubstep out of that through it being wubs. Right, we want to sort of like record some. Here we go. So we'll go. Okay. Okay, and I didn't record that. Sick. Nice. Oh, we could probably kind of... Oh, that's because I got it set to 30 seconds. Okay. So if we just take the drum bass part there, one... I just want to sort of see how that sounds. Nah, that sounded off. What happened there? Dun dun. And we go at the... Nope. No. Da-da-da-dum. Oh, can you go like 30 seconds here? So... Nah, it needs to be maybe a bit longer. Yeah. So there. Nah, not. We need to get a bit of stank to that. Like. Yeah, and then we need to kind of change the pitch of these. Get that sorted in there. Yeah, okay, it's kind of filthy. It's kind of filthy, I kind of dig that. Yeah, it's kind of... I don't know if we need the portamento over the side, though. We'll figure it out. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of hear how that sounded in sort of like a kind of a very kind of drum bass scenario. Arturia's only downside is that it seems expensive. If my friend had never gifted me, I probably would never have had it. Yeah, I feel you on that. There is some pretty ridiculous stuff going on in terms of pricing for synthesizers and plugins at the moment. Like Serum 2 is 300 and something, though I think that if you own Serum 1, they will do Serum 2 as an upgrade for free. So I don't know if that's available for you because you have Serum. You might be able to get Serum 2 for free. But yeah, just maybe have a look into that because if you can, then that's awesome. And I think I might look at Arturia in my own time. With the sample breakbeats with samples thing, that yeah, that's cool. I dig that. I was kind of wondering how you managed to combine those different things. It's always very tricky because when there's a certain level of production to things, you really do kind of wonder as a reviewer whether someone is recording those drums like themselves and then producing them, whether they're sort of like sampling them, whether... Yeah, it's tricky. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool though. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I again, I might have a look at it, and thank you for mentioning that. It's good to sort of understand more about it, and I'm glad to hear it's free for you. The people who made Serum are awesome. They're great people. I mean, I think that it's worth the price as it is current. It's like 300. It's 170 USD or something like that, which is about like $300 NZD where I live. But yeah, it's good times. Yeah, it's been good to sort of learn more about you. The granulizer makes sense. I think there's specific things in FL Studio that they're put in there precisely because I understand a lot of producers are going to use their own sort of plugins that they have from other digital audio workstations, and so they've kind of put a few extra fun things in there for those who look for it. Okay, that explains a lot. I'll look into that. But basically, you don't even really need to have the second time of it. You can kind of screw with that and glitch it up and do all sorts of fun stuff. But Anna's great. So I suppose to close before we finish up for today, that was our live stream, my live stream about Anna 2, the synthesizer. I think that Anna 2 is really well-rounded. Again, I'm saying this in my own volition. I don't feel the need to speak for Slate Digital and their team. I don't even really think I mentioned Slate Digital that much at all. You've just got thousands of sounds in there, and you've got a really capable synthesizer outside of that with various LFO. There's 3 oscillators within this you can change and sort of manipulate whenever you want. Again, I'm not trying to sell it. It's the Slate Digital bundle as well is very good. There's like 30 different plugins. I would like to do more live streams like this where I kind of just go through a specific plugin and understand its functionality. There are some plugins like Serum 2, for example, which I don't know them well enough to really speak on their behalf because it's just so much. They're ironically so much more complicated than this, just at face value, although I can probably go through the presets and sort of figure them out as well. But just really fantastic software. And you've just got a lot of malleability. It's very flexible in the way you can approach things. And so it's well worth your time to check it out if you like. You kind of, but definitely I think you can combine it with the stuff in FL Studio for you, Lollipop, and it's good vibes. Being broke helped a lot with learning how to sample because of how expensive synths were. I had to get super creative making sounds. I recorded like machine sounds from around the office shop. See, that is super cool. Like unconditionally, like super cool. Like you just gotta hustle. I know you gotta hustle for those sounds. I work with people who have spent thousands of dollars on equipment and they don't know how to use it. And it's kind of brutal, right? When people come in with a guitar that they've spent a few grand on because they're in their mid-40s and they're going through a midlife crisis. And it's not that I feel bad for them, it's that it's just you'd want them to spend less money so that they, for example, could get a feel of the instrument before they lay down that amount of cash for things. There are also, I think, a lot of free options that are available that are really, really good. But I do also think there is a time with specific situations where you just do have limitations on what's accessible. I think also if you're someone who's not super comfortable with making your own synth sounds and you don't want to put the effort in, getting a more expensive synthesizer is good because a lot of the plug-and pack manufacturers make stuff for Serum and stuff like that, as well as other ones. In the same way that, for example, the main drum plugins I use are from Bogren Digital. And, you know, I have a couple of acoustic drum kits that I use and can record if I want to, but it's just so much more convenient having my sort of 5-symbol electric drum kit set up in order to sort of quickly record drums if I want to do a track. And that Bogren Digital plugin simply allows me to be able to record drums via MIDI whenever I want. Like within 10 minutes, you've got a drum track. It's so good. So I'm glad that for you, Lollipop Band, I'm glad that you have been able to sort of like come from a position where you might not have had as much to play around with, but you're now in a position where you can do more. I think it's really cool. But yeah, just with my conclusion on it too is that if you like it, please do try it. There are other options. Like I'll probably try Vital 2 next time. Maybe I like Vital as well. It's like a cheaper option than this. It's not subscription based. And we're going to do a whole lot more other sort of live streams. Oh, you do? Do you use this one here? Bogren. No. I'm confused. No, I'm not. It's contact, right? It's contact, as you said. Okay, this could crash. No, it's not going to crash. Good. Trivium drums. Trivium drums. Trivium drums. Oh, nice. Kraken sounds good. I like Trivium, the band Trivium. Trivium is amazing. I love the band. And like you can't hear it at the moment. I'm not sure why you can't hear it. Maybe it's just loading the sounds. Maybe I've broken it. But effectively, what if I put that on? That one? That one? Oh, it's muted, right. It's very good. So if you get that hooked up to an E-kit like you guys have with Kraken, you just, if I go back a little bit, I'll be right back, you know, because I can just go into here, and I can just go to import mapping for my DM8, and I can go like, if I just play around a little bit. I don't know. Like, they got the drum kit over there in the background, you know? And again, there'll be people that are not super stoked about the fact that, I just realized how loud that was. Sorry. Sorry if that was super loud. Yeah, I just realized I had that on full. I apologize. It's not very professional. But you can do fun stuff with drums. So yeah, you just get an electric drum kit, and sometimes people have issues with the quantization element. But like, if you play drums well enough, like I know the drummer in your band is very good, so you don't have to worry about it. I think you've just got to kind of like, I don't know, people know when drums are quantized and they sound too clean, you know? You don't want it to sound robotic, and I think that's also part of why you've got to kind of play the drums as well, so you have dynamic range within the MIDI elements. Because if you don't have dynamic range within the MIDI elements, it just sounds a bit monotonous, you know? Glad to hear it wasn't air-splittingly loud. Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad to hear that you guys... because with what you guys do with the amount of processing and stuff you do in it, you can kind of get away with it anyways. You've got specific ways you like to stylize things, so it makes total sense that you do that. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Well, there you go. See, that's the thing. I know you guys don't just do metal. You do a whole bunch of other sort of like genres within stuff. But yeah. It is great, because metal is one of those genres where like you really do need to have a sense of coordination, and you really do need to have a finesse across the entire kit. You know, you got your hi-hats, kicks and snares, and that's fine, but you need your toms and your crashes and your chinas and all that kind of stuff as well. And the beauty again of Contact with, as you've said, the Bogren plugins with the Trivium stuff, is that honestly, like, I'm underutilized. There are like 8 different cymbals here. If I had a massive E-kit, like the Samus, like the guy Samus or whatever his name, 666 or something like that, he's got like a massive electric kit with like 10 cymbals, so he can make the most out of this. But then of course the guy's got a phenomenal acoustic kit, so he probably wouldn't even need it anyways, alongside a sort of dedicated drumming room. But just the fact that you can like not only have the drums, but also have like the Bogren digital, like the Trivium guitar rhythm tones as well. Like this is the amp tone that the guy from Trivium uses. You know, like, not exactly it. Like I'm sure he doesn't use this exact tone. Oh, crazy. Yeah, no, of course. They're just sensible. Like, I think that like the modern music production has brought about a whole lot of people who are just very sensible in terms of their entrepreneurialism, and they understand that people don't want to have to go through 10 different plugins in order to to find what they want a lot of the time, unless that's what they're into. A lot of people want quick fixes. There's a billion options, and Bogrun are just like, yeah, okay, we're going to make it easier for people and keep them within our ecosystem. And I think, you know, I can see similar stuff for like Neural DSP and stuff like that, although Neural DSP is like a couple of $1,000s for, and Neural DSP is like a couple of $1,000s for like one of those things, the little boxes that they have that you can play out of, which are fun. They look fun, but you know, yeah. Different strokes for different folks, am I right? But yeah, that's basically the live stream. Thank you for coming along and for hanging out and for listening to some music, and thank you for listening to me go through all these different Ana 2 things. You have Neural DS. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Do you find that it has stuttering issues? Like, do you find that it has issues with playback, or does it relatively good? Because I find sometimes on Windows, I have issues with playback. Like some of the ones, like the Tim Henson one, are pretty cool in terms of how they go with yeah, you know, that's cool. I'm happy to talk sometime. Maybe we'll set up a dedicated talking time. How about that? Because I gotta bring this to the close. I gotta bring this session to the close. Unfortunately, I gotta go do some music stuff after this. I wasn't expecting to go past 4, but that's all good. I'm glad that we had the chance to talk. Thank you for coming along. Just, yeah, feel free to go reach out on Discord or whatever if you want to chat. Happy to sort of talk more there. It's all good. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That sucks. Yeah. The Discord is quiet, but I suppose people coming to hang out will just make it a bit more active. Yeah. All good. All right, I'm going to conclude though now. It's nice to chat to you, Lollipop Band. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming along to my live stream where we talked about Ana 2, the synthesizer from Slate Digital, for 1.5 hours, as well as a whole bunch of other stuff. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go check out Slate Digital and their plugins, or simply just try a synthesizer for yourself and have fun and stay cool, stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as you need to help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you all in the next live stream. Spiderhands out.